You missed the first time your child hit a home run because you were working overtime, or the notion that you were not present when your daughter won her very first track meet, but you missed it. And you've explained, and the mother and everybody understands that you were working because you had to pay the cost of getting that child on the team, but for some reason they didn't get it. Well, here's the real truth. Doing may be respected by society, but being is remembered by our children. Welcome to the Dr. G.L. White Show, or what I like to refer to as the fatherhood frequency, where I tend to amplify the voices, values, and victories of Black fathers and the family. But today I'm going to talk to you about something that you probably have not paid very much attention to, and it's what I call the beingness versus the doingness of fathers. Yes, there's a big difference between those two. You see, society has kind of socialized us. It's taught men to focus on what we do for our children. That's putting a roof over their heads, or working long hours, or getting the grind in, just making sure that all of our children and our families' basic needs are met. But what our children most need from us, believe it or not, is our presence and not just our paycheck. You see, our paycheck and the things we do, it's a fundamental expectation, but it's the thing that society sees and have come to know. But what they don't see, but our children feel, is that which we do for them, being present. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between the doingness of fatherhood and the beingness of fatherhood, because one does this thing called contribute while the other connects. And so that difference is what I want to make sure that we don't miss. There's a difference between the two, and I'm going to kind of break it down for you a little bit, and I'm going to ask you to do your own inventory and just kind of ask your own self how you fit into these. So the doing is the task-oriented. From the moment many of us had our first child, we knew that we needed to get the Pampers. We knew that we needed to make sure the bills were paid. We needed to make sure we did all the things of performing the duties of fatherhood. But the beingness is what we often are not taught about. And that's the development, or the strengthening, or what I like to say, being relationship-oriented. Also, the doingness, right? The doingness focuses on our financial provisions. Society and child support, for example, enforcement, it defines and understands responsible fatherhood by your ability to meet that obligation. And the truth is, if we lived by that one dimension, it says as long as you meet your child support obligation and you're on time, actually, in society, you're considered a responsible father. So that's the doingness of it. But what no child support payment can do is substitute the importance of being present and focused on the emotional needs of your child. That right there, there's no book or no manual or instruction from the state that's really going to give you that time. So the doing versus the being is different. Let me give you another one. How about doing can be done from a distance? That's right. You can live in an entire another state and do the thing of meeting the financial obligations, sending your check or sending money. And some of you may even be in a home, driving a truck and meeting those obligations, paying the bills, sending the money home. The doingness, we get it. But the problem is the beingness requires you to be physically and emotional present and focus on that closeness. And so that part of the beingness is critical. I'm going to keep pushing this, you all, because no one told us this. No one emphasized it. Everyone has told us as long as we put that roof over their head, as long as we put clothes on their back, as long as we made sure it was food on the table, we were doing enough. But the truth of the matter is, it's more to it. The beingness. So don't say, I worked overtime for you. Being says, I came home and for your game because it matters. Let me say that again. That think about this. You missed the first time your child hit a home run because you were working overtime, or the notion that you were not present when your daughter won her very first track meet, but you missed it. And you've explained, and the mother and everybody understands that you were working because you had to pay the cost of getting that child on the team, but for some reason they didn't get it. Well, Here's the real truth. Doing may be respected by society, but being is remembered by our children. So you must make the choice of which is most important for you. And here's the real truth. Doing might get the applause, the recognition, the hits on social media because everyone sees everything that you've done. They see the big house. But when you become an adult, even for you, when I ask you about your greatest memories as a child, I guarantee you any memory that you talk about will focus on someone being present. So why just doing fatherhood becomes a problem? Well, there's a number of things I want you to kind of think about. Number one, it creates emotional distance. Even the physical needs must be met. But we don't do that if we are not present. Children may feel neglected or even feel like a burden or less than a priority. So we want to focus on what happens and the problems that can cause. You all, I'm going to keep pushing this. And because it's how we were socialized. And I'm challenging you right now to do the opposite of everything that we may have heard, everything that we may have seen on society and television shows. It teaches children, if we're just doers, that love is measured by the money and love is measured by the things that we do for someone and not the moments. I guarantee you, it's the moments that matter. That's what beingness is. But it poses a problem when the children can't remember those moments that you were present. You were not there at the musical recital. So it poses a problem, and your busyness, you might miss it. So it can lead to resentment in our adolescence, right? And it's important to understand that our children, in truth, they will act out before they speak out. Let me say that. And you'll miss it because they miss you, but instead of telling you, now they're having problems at school. They get engaged in conflicts. They begin to feel some type of way when they see their friends' fathers involved at events or coaching teams, but you're not. And then it poses a problem because now your children began to provide explanations for why you're not there. Fathers, you miss out on shaping your children's identity, their self-worth, and their voice. So I'm going to push in your understanding of why it poses a problem. Society is going to tell you that I'm wrong. Society is going to tell you that put that value on that. Society is going to tell you as long as you're doing those things, you're respected and appreciated. But I'm going to tell you what happens and how your children respond is different. So let me talk to you about the beingness of fatherhood and why it's more than the doingness of fathers. Being present, okay? Now, these are the steps. So things I really want you to take under consideration. Here is your roadmap. Number one, be present. Schedule regular, undivided attention with your child, right? And if you have multiple children, yes, I'm going to challenge you to cheat. You want to do something very powerful, take a day off. And now you say to your children, I took the day off. What are we going to do, Daddy? I don't know. But you will see how they begin to respond when you break your regular schedule to be present for them. So that's number one. Number two, be a listener, right? Now, you can only achieve this in the beingness of fatherhood because let your child talk, hear them without correcting them. Their voices began to resonate and began to make sense. You begin to see how they're thinking, especially as they get older and they are met with the challenge of reconciling what they're seeing in the community, at their school, and among their peers versus what they're experiencing from you in the home. Fathers, those of you with daughters, you even have to understand that their challenge of trying to reconcile how a woman is valued, how a woman is to be respected or appreciated, comes from you being present and them witnessing the act of being present, the act of communicating and connecting. I'm going to keep pushing on this, doing this. You all take notes of this. Being consistent, show up when you say you're going to show up. There's nothing more dangerous than when you make promises you cannot keep. So I'm going to challenge you to be honest. If you can make it, say you can make it, because it gets very, very difficult when they're expecting you there, when they're in the recital of the band and they're looking out, scanning the room, trying to locate you. Brothers, I'm even taking a little bit step further, and I'm going to tell you to get there early enough so you can sit in the front row so they can see you. But I want you to see them. I want you to see the facial expressions that they have when they look to the right and pan to that front row and they see you, right? So being intentional is what's critical in the beingness of fatherhood. Know your child's worth, their friends, their fears, their dreams, their daily experiences. This comes from the random conversations that your children will have with you. When they say, Dad, I got a question, I need you to be there. I need you to be present. I need you to be the active listener and have fun with them. So my final thoughts is during the fatherhood movement or understanding the importance of moving towards being and drifting or not so much from the doing. I still need you to do. But brothers, that's the basic expectation of a father. The beingness takes work. Your presence speaks louder than your paycheck. You heard me say that. I need you to examine it. Your hugs, your time, your laughter, your guidance, those are the things that your children remember into adulthood. When you even pause for yourself and I ask you about your fondest childhood memory, as I said, what will come to life is your presence. Brothers, I'm just going to tell you, do the work, be there, be real, be the father that your children need to see because your beingness is essential and life-saving for their growth and their development. So we've talked about the doing, but let me give you some specific instructions on how to be more than to do. So first is being present. Here's what I mean. Schedule the regular events, providing your child undivided attention, being where you need them to be, and be a listener. Listen, your child needs to talk and they need to hear you in their presence in that communication so that you can hear them without correcting them or without solving the problem, but just being fully in tune. Be affirming. Right? So be affirming, speak life into your child with your words and with your actions. This is what's most critical. It's the thing that they remember, the actions, and be consistent. That means make the promises that you can keep and keep the promises that you make. This is what being is, because a broken promise or a missed opportunity will be the thing that they remember. And then be intentional. And what I mean by intentional, I mean that your child's world, their friends, their fears, their dreams, their hopes, all these aspirations are critical. Let me tell you why this is important. I'm going to go back to my own childhood, and it takes me back to as a child being a musician and why it was so important that with my mother raising all five of us, it was logistically impossible for her to be at every one of events. But when my mother showed up, especially there was a time when there was a solo, and let me tell you, it was my first time. I had a trumpet solo and a percussion solo, and I was not expecting my mother to be there. And so leading up to it, and right before I got to my solo, I panned the room and I saw my mother in the audience. You could see it in my face. And because of that, my performance was transformed, right? Because I wanted her to see me for the first time as a musician. But it didn't even stop there. Even with my father being present when I hit a home run. Right now, that only happened because I walked up to the plate and I heard that voice, my father's distinct voice saying, "Get a hit, son, get a hit." I smiled while looking at the picture. I needed in that moment to have the hit. I needed in that moment for my father to see me have the necessary impact. This is what being present is about. It's nothing that can be measured. It's nothing that anyone would necessarily see. It's about a spiritual relationship and connection between you and your children. So here's my final thoughts. Doing fatherhood is good, but being a father is essential. Number 2, your presence speaks louder than your paycheck. Your paycheck is the expectation. Children don't know what all you go through to make it happen, but all they know is this. Some of them, believe it or not, would rather sit in the house with the lights off, playing games than to be home with all the lights on and you're not there. So being present will always outweigh the paycheck, but the paycheck is the expectation. So we don't get the awards or the recognition for the doing, but the beingness of it is rewarded by the spiritualness that you see in your children, their smiles or the bonding or the random contacts or connections that your children have with them. What am I saying? I'm saying your hugs, your time, your laughter, your guidance. Those are the things that our children will hold dear to them long after the lights are turned off and the bills are paid. So brothers, I'm saying to you, do the work, the doingness, but be there, be real, be the father that they need to see and experience, because your beingness is essential. I'm Dr. G.O. White, and thank you for tuning in to this Fatherhood Moment.